What's up, and welcome back to episode 184 of the Alpha Girl Confidence Podcast. I'm your host, Shay Haddo. And in today's episode, we got a special one because it is Mental Health Awareness Month. So we should always be aware of our mental health. It should always be the forefront. It should always be the priority. But this month allows us the opportunity to really focus on it. And for me, this month, the podcast, every single episode this month is going to be focused on mental health. So to kick it off with this episode, we're going to talk about habits and kind of behaviors, actions, and to let go of that are hurting your mental health and are not helpful, and also creating new habits and implementing new behaviors to improve your mental health. So this is going to be a highly actionable episode where if you just listen to it, sure, maybe you're going to get something out of it. But if you really, really want to get something out of it, then you're going to want to take notes. And I don't want you to just listen to this and be like, oh, my mental health is fine. Like, I'm happy. There's nothing wrong. Like, we can all do the things that I'm going to share with you. We can all do them to be more confident, to be happier, to be more at peace, just to be more fulfilled as a human being. So I don't care where you are at on your mental health scale or confidence scale. These things are going to help you regardless of where you're at. All right. So first, we're going to talk about habits to let go of, right? So before we can add anything new, we first have to let go, or it's just going to be like piling good stuff on top of crappy stuff, and that doesn't really going to work. So we got to let go of some habits first, release some habits, and then we can start adding habits. All right. So start taking some notes. And at the end of this episode, I want you to go through and select maybe one or two of these to adopt. I'm not asking you to go through and do all of these. We're going to talk about 3 habits to release, to let go of, and then 3 new habits to adopt. All right. So let's get into what habits to release. So number 1 is probably the most impactful, and in my opinion, one of the easiest ones, is to stop watching the news. Stop watching the news. Whatever form of news you consume, whether it's the actual news or things on Twitter or social media or talking to people about the news, like, stop consuming whatever form of news you may consume. And maybe you don't consume that, and that's beautiful because I've talked about it before. But if you watch the news, all that's doing is implementing fear and anxiety and worry into your body. The news isn't there to make us feel good. The news is there to instill fear in our minds and in our bodies. Literally, that's what it's for. And there's not much truth to the news, to be honest. I could go on a big tangent about this, but just know that the news, watching the news, isn't helpful at all. So stop watching the news. All right. And the number 2 habit that I want you to let go of or release is to stop, if you can see me on YouTube, scrolling on social media. I didn't necessarily say stop using social media. It's more so of how you're using social media that isn't good for your mental health. Now, for me, I don't use social media for a majority of the week just because I feel better without it. I'm not saying you have to do that, but if you're going to use social media, don't just scroll mindlessly. Because as you scroll, you go into a rabbit hole, you start to compare yourself, you start to look at, oh my gosh, why is she so good? Oh my gosh, why is she so pretty? Oh my gosh, why am I not where she's at? Right? So we get into this big, massive, ugly comparison. I do it. Everybody does it. Like Oprah probably does it. Like, we all compare ourselves to other people, especially on social media. It's not good for your mental health. And honestly, just staring at your screen in general is not the greatest. So if you use social media, 2 things. Stop mindlessly scrolling. Like, if you're going to go on with a purpose, have an intention. Okay. And number 2, if you can limit it, limit it. So ideally, limit it before bed. Limit your social media consumption before bed. I know at least, I would say 75% of teenagers are probably looking through their phone, looking at social media as they are in bed, trying to get sleep. And that has a slew of negative mental and physical health effects. So number 1, it stops you from getting a really deep sleep because your eyes are looking at a screen. And when your eyes are looking at a screen, it's saying, hey, it's time to be awake. So it's not good for your sleep. Also, again, it just kind of heightens your nervous system so that instead of relaxing and calming and getting into your parasympathetic rest and digest nervous system, which is where you relax. It gets you into your sympathetic nervous system, which is your fight or flight, which it gets you into more stress mode, like more I'm ready to roll, rock and roll mode, as opposed to I'm ready to chill out and sleep. So it does a lot of things, but main things I want you to realize is that it's going to make you not get such a good sleep, and it's going to kind of make your nervous system go up, which is going to make your anxiety go up. And also, you don't want to be looking at that right before bed, like do some other things, right? Which we'll talk about. All right, so that's number 2, is stop scrolling on social media, reduce social media usage if you can, and everyone can. It's just a matter of making the choice. And number 3, all right, number 3 is to stop hanging out or talking to negative, toxic people, right? There's only so much control we have over like who we hang out with, right? As far as family, you got to hang out with your family, right? Friends, you have full control over that. So if you're hanging out with people that are making you feel icky, that are making you feel anxious, that are making you feel sad, angry, whatever those emotions are that are affecting your mental health, stop hanging out with them. If you're hanging out with people that are gossiping and talking crap on other people, stop hanging out with them. If you're hanging out with people that all they can do is complain about how their life is, everyone's out to get them and everything's so horrible, stop talking to them. The people you hang out with have a huge impact, especially teenagers. The people you hang out with have a huge impact in your life. So if you can be more mindful of who you hang out with, it's really going to make a big impact on your mental health. And if, let's say, you have family members that are impacting your mental health, you can't control other people, but you can have a conversation with them. You can change kind of how you interact with them. You can change how you actually use and apply the information and the things they're telling you. So be more mindful of the people you're hanging out with and how they're affecting your happiness, your mental health, your confidence. So 3 habits to let go of. I want you, again, just let go of one of these. One of these. Number 1, stop watching the news. Number 2 is limit your time on social media. Stop scrolling so much. I think everybody could do that. Like that's the one that I think everybody probably does. They could limit it. And number 3 is stop hanging out and talking to toxic, negative people. All right. Now that we've released some habits, guess what? Now we can add in some new ones. So now we've emptied those out, or maybe we've emptied one of them out, but now we can add some new ones, right? So we're going to fill it with something more positive, something more useful, something more fulfilling. All right. So the 3 habits that we're going to talk about to add to your daily life. Number 1, if you've been listening to the podcast for a minute, you know, this is my number 1 always, is some sort of stillness practice, meditation, breathing, focusing on your breathing exercises, literally just being still, not listening to anything, not consuming anything, sitting in your room and just paying attention to your breath, paying attention to your thoughts, some sort of stillness practice. So this does not mean that you have to go out and meditate an hour a day, an hour every single day. It doesn't mean that. All it means is go sit on your bed, go sit on the couch, go sit in your backyard, go sit somewhere where you can be alone with nothing, stillness. You could do a guided meditation if you want. Sure, I do those. But I just want you to have the space to just be with yourself, be with your own thoughts, feel your own emotions, right? Feel your own emotions, be with your thoughts. I know that's not always easy because there's so many things that we have to do that you think are more important, but really there's nothing more important than connecting more deeply with yourself and improving your mental health. And this is my number 1 strategy that you can use to connect more deeply with yourself, which is going to help your confidence, your self-worth, all of those things. But it's also drastically going to improve your mental health. And I would say, out of anything I've done, when I was going through a lot of anxiety, even in college, I remember downloading this app called Calm, and I don't use it anymore, but it's a great app. It's called Calm, downloading the app called Calm. And I started meditating and listening to these guided meditations. And I really can't imagine what life would have been like, going through that hard time without some time for myself. So I'd really advise you to develop some sort of meditation or breathing practice. It could be as simple as setting a timer for 2 minutes and just focusing on your breathing for 2 minutes. It's all it takes. It's all it takes. Something is better than nothing. Don't make it more difficult than it has to be. All right, that's number one. Number two, I'm excited for this one. Number two is allow yourself to not be okay. Allow yourself to feel like crap. Allow yourself to feel all the feelings. Here's what I mean by that. Most of us in society have been taught and programmed and conditioned to not feel negative feelings, to just push them aside. Just think positive. Don't think about the negative things ever. Don't feel the negative things. It's not okay to cry. It's not okay to feel like crap. It's not okay to be unmotivated. It's not okay to want to just sit and sulk. It's not okay. And so when we feel those things, we shame ourselves for feeling those things. We resist those things, which only makes it worse, which only hurts our mental health. One of the biggest things you can do for your sanity, for your mental health, just for your overall well-being, is to just really allow yourself to feel the feelings. Allow yourself to just be like, you know what? I'm not okay. I'm sad and I'm okay with it. I'm going to allow it in. I'm going to accept it. When you allow in those emotions, when you allow it, accept it, acknowledge it, feel it, it goes away. Maybe not immediately, but it goes away. The alternative is to push it down, distract yourself, tough it out, suck it up. When you do that, guess what happens? It gets suppressed. It gets buried deep, 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 deep within your body until one day it just becomes too hard. So you've got to feel your feelings. I don't care what you've been told, what you've been programmed from society. Feel your feelings. It's okay to not be okay. There's probably one day a week where I have a day where I'm just sad. Most of the time I'm really happy and I'm upbeat and I love life, but there's always those days where I'm just like, I just feel off. And in the past, I used to like go out and do stuff and just push through it. It didn't help. So now when I feel those days and I have those days, I just feel it. I hang out outside in the backyard. I just chill. I meditate. I go for walks. I don't do work. I don't do anything that I don't want to do. So when you're feeling that way, realize it's okay. Allow yourself to not be okay. Number two. All right. And number three is really simple, is to spend more time in nature. Spend more time in nature. That is nature is one of the most powerful ways, one of the quickest ways that you can go from feeling like crap to feeling a bit better. Just looking at the trees. I'm going to get all tree hugger on you. Looking at the trees, listening to the birds, putting your bare feet on the grass, walking on the hot cement, just being outside. Whether it's going for a walk in your neighborhood, whether it's sitting outside in your backyard, whether it's going for a hike, a bike ride, whatever it is, spend more time in nature. And I know that you can't do that all the time. I know that it's not like you can go for a hike every day because you have all these things, but everyone can spend a little more time outdoors. Can you do your homework outside? It's getting warmer. Can you go for more walks? Can you sit outside? Can you eat dinner outside? Can you just be outside more, right? And nature doesn't have to mean the mountains. It could mean your backyard. It could mean the park down the street. So spend more time in nature. If you want to know all the health benefits of spending more time in nature, Google it. I'm not going to go through all of them, but there's a slew of mental health benefits, of physical health benefits, of all of the health benefits to spending more time in nature. So those are the three. All right. So what I want you to do is release one of those habits and now implement. If you want to implement all three, go for it. Beautiful. More power to you. But I want you to implement at least one. So number one, some sort of stillness practice. Could be 2 minutes a day, could be 5 minutes a day, could be whatever. Stillness practice, number one. Number two you should always be doing number two. You should always allow yourself to feel those feelings. So number two, you got to do it, right? You got to do it. Number two, allow yourself to feel the feelings, allow yourself to not be okay. Right. And then number three is spend more time in nature. Guess what? All of these are free. You don't need a coach to help you do these three. You don't need someone to teach you how to do these three. You could just do it. It could be 5 minutes a day. Doesn't take much time, doesn't cost any money, no excuses to better your mental health. So I hope this episode was helpful. I wanted to start out with this as the first episode for the Mental Health Awareness Month, so that you could start to develop these habits. And then as we go on throughout the month, we're going to have, more lessons on mental health to help you. I'm going to bring on a really awesome guest, and we're going to have a really awesome conversation on mental health. I just said the word awesome a lot. I say that a lot. It's awesome. So yeah, if you like this episode, if it helped you, please share it with a friend. Please leave us a review on iTunes if it's helpful, so that we can continue to reach more girls, more parents, and I'll catch you on the next episode.